Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, everybody. If you harness the power of energy, if you understand it, it can change your life. It can move your life forward. That's what we're going to talk about today. And part of that is also helping you heal from things from your past. And she practices energy work. She's a practitioner of that. Today, we're going to look at some of the different modalities that she uses to help you heal, help you feel better, help you move forward. Rima Wardini is back with us. How are you doing today?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing good. How are you?
Very well, very well. All of these modalities that we're going to talk about, I want to say most of them I've had done, and I'm a big believer in it. And what's interesting is I've always believed in energy. Like there's something out there, and I've worked with psychics for years, like 2.5 decades, some of the biggest and the best, and that's energy. And even I would be skeptical about what's going on, and even though they'd be friends, I'd be like, yeah, wait a minute, give me some more proof about that, and they did. But it was only until about maybe 3 years ago that I realized that I needed to do some work on myself. And that's where I opened the door to all the things that we're going to talk about today, even Reiki. And I remember being a kid in high school and working at a cable TV station. I was operating the camera as an intern, and there was a lady doing Reiki. That's why I remember that from. I'm like, what's that kooky stuff? What was going on? So it was always been around my life, but I guess what they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will show up, and did, and definitely move my life forward. So we're going to talk about those modalities. Reiki.
Yeah.
You want to start with Reiki?
Let's start with Reiki. I think this is the modality that is becoming more and more known by people and rediscovered. So it's a modality that started in Japan, and it was, I think, 2,500 years ago that was, that Reiki came about. And then it really started to reemerge in the 20th centuries, and it became actually a technique. And I would say Reiki has many different avenues to it. So Reiki is like an umbrella to many different type of Reikis. And the one that I practiced was what we call the Angels Reiki. And when you say that you believe in energies and stuff, and I always say we're never alone, whether we feel alone, but we're never alone. There's always some sort of spirit or some sort of energy that is around you that is either protecting you, guiding you. And the beauty of what Reiki is, especially when we're talking about Angels Reiki, is that we are using the person's actual guides to help us get the information or help heal those parts of the person that needs healing. So as a Reiki practitioner, I'm more guided. I'm more of a tunnel, right? I'm more like this channel to be able to get these beings to come in and to guide me on how I can help the person release what needs to be released. And, I should maybe change the word release, and it's more letting go of what the person needs to let go of. Because not long ago, I heard that release, meaning like you're releasing something, like you're doing a lease again of the same thing. So I'm going to try to kind of deviate from the release word and say letting go, because this is exactly what we want to do. And it's kind of like letting it go from your body, memory, to be able to feel more free and more harmonized within your energy fields within yourself.
Is it true that our bodies hold on to that negative energy? So let's say negative situation you went through, and you might not even know we're holding on to it.
Absolutely. I think the problem as well that we're facing, Steve, is that we think that it's normal to be in that state. At one point, we become kind of immune to the signs and signals that are coming in, and we no longer recognize whether it's a normal thing or not. People, for instance, people living with chronic pain, at one point it kind of becomes normal to them. They even say like, oh, it's normal, I live with that. No, it's not normal. There's something, there's a signal that's telling you that something is off. And we became such robots, into like going with life without actually taking a moment and saying, I'm not supposed to be in pain. The pain is trying to tell me something. And so Reiki is part of that way of going about things, without having to go through all the pains of like, it's just a different modality to kind of pinpoint exactly what's going on a deeper level. And this was my experience. This was exactly what I went through. I couldn't pinpoint the source of why I was going into the same patterns. That was my case. So it wasn't disease or illness, more than, okay, why am I reliving the same type of situations that are causing me pain, that are causing me discomfort, that are causing me such hardship? So it was just a different way to go into the depths of where we are, because we are truly divine beings. We're not just this, body or material thing. We're way more than that. So there must be a way to go tap into that capacity as well. Yeah.
I've done Reiki. I'm gonna get to that in a second. My what made me believe it's real, but the game changer and made everything crystallize in what you just talked about, how a lot of the chronic illness, pain, things that we go through, that we just continue living with it. Yeah, like a robot. Yeah, part of my life. No, there's a reason you're going through it. Now, there could be some genetics involved with some of the things that people deal with, but for the most part, it's probably connected to a negative situation and you don't even realize it. But here was the game changer for me. Everything gets into the cellular level. Everything you experience. You're angry at somebody. You have stress, whatever it might be. It's not just, oh man, I got a lot going on today. It's going into every cell in your body. Think about that. Every cell, that deep.
It's that deep. And we're made of atoms. We're constantly, there's a dance, atomic dance that's happening. And this is where the cellular memory comes into. Like, if we're creating this type of friction all the time, instead of letting it harmonize, then there's definitely something that's being damaged, if we can talk about being damaged. But what I'm trying to say is that the goal of all of this is for you to be able to to flow more fluidly within your body, within those atoms, to be able to leave space within your body and within your spirit, in order for things to kind of like move in a more flowy way, instead of creating friction all the time and resistance. And when we talk about energy being blocked, or any memory of cell being blocked within us, friction we're talking about, it's that contraction that happens that doesn't let things to kind of move through you. And this is the goal of energy work. It's to be able to let go of things in order for you to have more space to let this energy move through you. Because every single emotion is an energy in motion. And if that energy is not in motion, then it's blocked somewhere in your body. And it's every single organ in our body is linked to a certain emotion. Will kind of grasp into a certain emotion. If we take, let's say, the lungs, for instance, the lungs are related when we have lungs bronchitis or any respiratory disorder. Often enough, it's linked to a deep pain, deep sadness that we haven't processed. If we're talking about kidney problems, well, kidneys are linked to deep fears, to fears, whether it's material fear or whether it's abandonment or anything else, emotional fear. These are all linked within your kidneys. If you're talking about the liver, then we're talking about anger and resentment. When we start understanding this, we can go on a physical and see, okay, where is the problem? Okay, let's go deeper into that problem and see what is the emotion behind that problem. Once we tap into that emotion, then we are ready to let go of it.
Let's talk about, 100%. Once you realize that you're holding negative energy in your body, and what is Reiki essentially, the layman's explanation, it clears the energy out. It
Yeah.
allows the energy to flow properly without having these blocks within your body. And the game changer for me when I realized that, wow, this stuff is real, came about 3 years ago. And I've had Reiki done in person and also virtually.
Yes, it's definitely possible. Energy has no space or distance, right? Or time.
Exactly. And now I'll laser this just to give you the example. But the first time I think I ever had Reiki, and it was with somebody like 1,500 miles away. We didn't even really communicate. She's texted me and said, okay, get in a comfortable spot, 8:00 tonight. And maybe like 45 minutes later, I'll text you, let you know how it went. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting there on the couch, just relaxing. And I thought I felt something from my head to my feet and from my feet to my head. And I tried to get out of my head. Am I just thinking that or whatever? But I let it go. All right. Okay, whatever. So about 8:50, she texts me and she says, yeah, all went well. Found some areas that were stuck. But she said, I have to share this with you. And I wrote back, what? And she said, I got this visual of you taking me through like reeds and weeds on a little boat. And we're looking down into the water and looking at little things crawling around. And she said, I know what that is, but I figured I'd share it with you. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And what she was describing was my Zen spot. I go kayaking, and that's what I do.
Yes.
I usually go in salt water because I love the sea life, and I'll take it into the shallow water, and I'll just be floating, and I'll be looking at little critters. Just, they're doing their life in the water, and I find it so relaxing. I'll put my feet up on the kayak, maybe have a drink or whatever, and just like, yeah, this is great. And somehow she brought that out. Now, how would she even know? It's not like she's going on Facebook or something. How'd you know?
And trust me, we don't. Often enough, as practitioners, we have our own doubts, our own fears come in, and I had to go through my own process in regards to: am I imagining things? Am I just seeing things to see things? Am I just want to believe in this so much? But so many confirmations were telling me I don't have that imagination capacity in me to go into these visions. And that's exactly what happens. And the more you become open to that and accepting that, the best thing that I have done for myself is to accept that this power comes beyond me. It comes through me. I don't have to control anything as a practitioner, and I don't have to control anything as the client being worked on, because any practitioner needs their own healing as well. So it goes both ways. So I experienced it as a client, but I also experienced it as a practitioner, where once you open up to that energy, then everything flows without any resistance. And the resistance belongs to you. You decide whether you want to stop it or you decide whether you want to open it. And the same thing with the clients. You decide whether you want this to really work. Because the more you're open to that, the more we're going to be able to go in and go extract what needs to be extracted, whether it's a vision, whether it's a feeling, whether it's a memory, whether it's a smell, anything. It will be extracted in the way that will relate to you. And that's the beauty of energy. It's never about the practitioner. It's about the client. It's about your energy. And we work with that. So that's the beauty of, Reiki. That's what I love about this practice. And I just let go of expectations because I really never know how it's going to go. You will receive whatever you need to receive at that moment, whatever you're ready for. And, often enough, what happens is that you won't necessarily get a reaction within the session. It may come a bit later. You're going to be like, oh my God, yes, whatever we spoke about makes sense. Now I get it. Yes, it was this memory that came through a dream that makes sense now. And I was able to kind of tap into it. I cried, I yelled, I did, but now I feel much better.
Yes.
And that's how things come up. It's like this flower that opens up more and more and more, and it kind of flourishes into something magical.
I neglected to add, because I wanted to illustrate that this person was able to find some personal stuff from my energy.
Yeah.
But after the session, I felt lighter, had more clarity, was able to deal with the personal situation a lot easier. It just, it wasn't as heavy anymore. And that's kind of what I've experienced within having Reiki sessions. Just a sense of well-being. And to your point, sometimes it takes a little time. Could take a day, two, whatever, until you start feeling, better. But bottom line is, we're all deal with that stuck energy. Would you say that all of us are broken? And I mean that in not such a negative way.
Yeah.
All of us are broken in some
I
way.
know. Yeah, we are, and we spoke about that. And I mentioned the Japanese vases of like
That's
with
right.
the gold. And what do we do with these pieces? The most important thing is, what are we doing with those broken pieces? And are they maybe meant to be broken to be opened up a bit more? So yes, I truly believe we are broken. But I'm not really sure that we can do it in another way for expansion. That I'm not sure yet if that's the only way, because I always ask myself the question, do we have to go through hardship in order for us to understand, or to understand the lesson, or do we have to go through such a dramatic event in order for us to wake up? I think it was maybe true before, but at one point in your life, I think you start understanding as things are coming, to understand, okay, well, now I have all these tools. What tool do I need right now? And I think my goal in my practice is to be able to give that capacity to every single person, to tell them you have the capacity to not only heal yourself, but to choose the tool that will be good for you at that moment, to recognize which tool is good for you at that moment. And sometimes it's not that clear, but as soon as you ask the question, okay, what do I need right now? Can you please give me a sign of what I need right now? It will lead you to the right person. It's like you said before, Steve, it's once the student is ready, the teacher will show up. Well, once the client is ready, the practitioner will show up. It's the same way. You just have to know what know what's out there. And I think the goal of all of this is for people to know the different modalities that they have, that they can reach out when you're in that desperate moment of like not being able to come out of it, other than medication all the time, or other than, the easy pill. There's no easy pill. There's always, and with every single pill, exactly, there's a side effect. Well, why aren't we accepting the side effect of energy work as well? There's a side effect to a healing crisis. You're going to feel, sad and sometimes mad and confused. But after this, there is a sense of, like you said, calmness and peace. And there's something that happens within you that becomes more aligned, and you're more clear and more within yourself without having any other toxicity that comes in. And I do not speak against medication. What I'm just trying to say is that there's other ways. Try to experience other ways to that.
Medication just treats the symptoms.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
It doesn't go to the root cause. So what is the root cause? You may be dealing with a situation or many different situations, but it's gotten a hold of you. Again, back to the cellular level. It's literally controlling your body. And there's where all the chronic issues, disease, sickness all come from. And once you realize that and accept it, we originally were going to talk about different modalities, so we're almost out of time.
Yeah.
How do you decide which one to use?
I go with I used to, when I started practicing, I used to kind of do like this whole protocol of like, okay, I'm going to do this. And it would always shatter because it never is the route that I take. So as a practitioner, I go with my feel with the person itself. I really open myself up to spirit to guide me, to tell me, okay, where do you need me to go today? And it's only when the person is either like, if it's at a distance, then I will feel the person's energy. And if it's in front of me, I will also feel the person. It's the same thing. But I will go with where it's going to guide me, where the spirit is going to guide me to go to. And it's always a surprise to me. And that's how I start my practice. I always tell them, I do not know how it's going to go. All I could tell you is I am sure that you're going to feel much better than you felt before. You may see things, and I want you to express them to me, because these may be some answers to you. And I may see things and I will express them to you. And if they don't make sense, they don't make sense. And if they do, then it's going to bring something up. It's going to open another layer and another understanding. So I never choose the modality before. But there's different modalities such as Reiki. There's a technique called Sifa as well that is more based on a Chinese medicine. There's hypnotherapy, like we spoke about. There's somatic exercises. These are body movements to release to let go of any energy that is within your body. There's breathing techniques that we could do. There's meditation. There's mandala. There's mantras. There's mudras. There's many different techniques that you could use while you're doing things, and you can combine them together at the same time. So we could definitely experience that hopefully in the next podcast. But there's a lot of different ways, and you are never alone. Never.
The one thing I guess we should share is when you're doing, we got like literally 30 seconds. When you're doing Reiki, the energy that you put into somebody to clear their energy, is it true that the energy goes where it needs to go? It just knows.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just knows there's no distance and time for energy, right? It just goes where it needs to go. And my hand sometimes will follow, or my hand will just stay where it needs to stay, and the energy will flow through you as it goes. So the goal is like an exchange of energy. So I help the person kind of let go of the energy that is no longer serving them and receive the energy of love and light that they desire to continue that healing process.
I know this sounds very woo-woo for many. I'm going to admit, but it's a game changer. It can change your life once you clear your energy. We all have stuck energy. Unfortunately, some of it's been stuck for decades. Stuff we dealt with many years ago is mucking up your system.
Yes.
And the best part is you don't have to do anything, and it's virtual. Like literally nothing. Like we're looking here.
Exactly.
We could have gave an example, but I would just do nothing, and you're doing everything virtually, and it works. Rima, how do we find you?
Well, you could always find me on my website. It's www.WholEstik, so WHOLESTIK.com. Or you could find me on IG, r.wardini, and I will be more than happy to answer any DMs that come my way. And you could definitely reach out. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions.
Awesome talking with you today. Thanks for making it clear. We centered on Reiki. Again, we're going to do lots of different modalities, so we'll get to those next time we get together, and looking forward to that. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Steve. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit. And make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.